Welcome to the Money Matters Empower Her podcast, where we're redefining what financial independence looks like for women. I'm your host, Donna Cates, and each week we'll dive into powerful stories, expert strategies, and practical tools to help you take charge of your financial future. The women sharing their journeys here aren't just telling stories, they're change makers. Their experiences, strategies, and financial outlooks carry real power to inspire transformation in your own life. Whether you're planning for retirement, navigating a divorce, or simply looking to build your wealth with confidence, this is your space to grow, learn, and thrive. Let's get started with today's episode. Welcome, everybody. I'm your host, Donna Cates, and today I'm honored to be joined by Shannon McGorry. She is the owner of Love, Strength, and Grace. I just love that name. But Shannon is doing some extraordinary work in the world, and I can't wait for you to hear her story, how she got here, what she's learned along the way, and how she's helping others rise and grow in their own wealth and purpose. So let's start with the heart of it all, Shannon, if we can. Please give me about 90 seconds to tell me what you do and more importantly, why you do what you do.
Yes. Well, first of all, thanks for that incredible welcome and for having me today. I
Welcome.
am a certified professional coach and I focus on women's empowerment. And what that means is really helping women get back centered in what they actually value and create a daily, weekly, monthly, annual life that they are excited and ready to be living. So I do that through weekly coaching sessions virtually. My clients are across the country, and I've trademarked a process called Activate Your Female Genius. And I really feel strongly about this because I think we all have this innate and powerful knowing of our passion, of our joy, of our values. And I believe that the noise of the world, expectations, comparison, social media, demands on our daily life crowd out that knowing that we have. And so that's what I love to do with women is to help them get back in touch with that true purpose and joy that we all innately have and know.
Oh, that's fabulous. And I have to say, too, since I had the technical struggles getting into this very meeting and that kind of overwhelm, and you helped me get centered really quickly from that. There was just a small snippet, but it matters. So I know that every passion has a backstory. So tell me, was there a moment in time or just a particular time of struggle that led you specifically to this work? Why did you pick this out?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I call it like my moment of choice because I was divorced. I was married. I was living in Tampa, Florida, and we had two young girls. And my former husband at the time, decided that he wanted to pursue a divorce. And I remember in that moment feeling like I can sink into despair. I can get super angry. I can live out of resent and the what ifs or what could have been. Or I can decide that this is the end of something, but not the end of everything. And I still have a whole big life to live. And once I got grounded and found my footing and my rhythm with that, and I had a lot of help with a great professional, a great therapist, and an incredible set of friends and family that, I would just forever grateful for. And once I found my footing, I realized I want to help other women as well. And I started out as a divorce coach, and it really has morphed and held in other areas as well, because these life transitions, whether it's caring for aging parents, staying home with children, and then realizing you want to step back into the workforce, running the corporate rat race, and then wanting to actually step out and create your own company or reevaluate your professional decisions or divorce, there's this general theme of let me get anchored back again into who I am. Because Donna, I grew up with one of five. I was the middle child,
Mm.
and then I married, and I was the it's fine person. Like I'm fine to go with the flow. I'll do what my older sisters want to do, or my younger brothers want to do, or I'll do what my former husband wants to do. Like, and it's fine. And what I realized in that moment of choice with my divorce was, who am I? What do I actually like? What would I decide? And that opportunity to actually lead my own life and get anchored into my soul, who I am, and create my life around that. And that's not saying from a selfish standpoint. I'm still a mother of two, and there were still other demands on me and things that had to be done. But that's really the crux of why I do what I do, because I wanted to help other women in those moments of choice to anchor into themselves and not be defined by any other circumstance.
Wow, that was very empowering. And what I heard too is, I think, very, very common. We as women, because we're wearing so many hats, we do sometimes lose sight of who we are and what's important to us.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, a lot of times it takes life happening for us to have the opportunity to pause and give some thought to that.
Mhm.
So
So
thank you
true.
for doing what you did. You took the pause and said, "Ooh, okay, I can make a difference here." So let's talk about impact. How are you empowering these women that you're working with? Or not just your clients, but your team, your community. How do you help them become the best versions of themselves while growing their own passion?
Sure. I think it comes down to two key components. One is to give them the space to do so. Because, like I said, I do believe we all have that knowing. I like to think of it as an onion. Like we all have this core flavor and spice and amazing essence to us. And then we layer on life, right? Whether it's a relationship or a job or a community effort or motherhood or pet ownership. And sometimes we need the chance to peel back those layers and to remember that essence. So having the space to do so is a beautiful gift of coaching. A lot of us are running through our days,
Mm.
with that sand in the hourglass, just like through our hands, right? And it's escaping us. So without that consistent space to actually honor yourself and check in with yourself, a lot of us do let life happen and we don't take that time. So that's the first thing. The second thing I think is the opportunity to have a coach is what I do, is to ask the powerful questions that give you the opportunity to reflect. Because I'm not going to tell you what to do. Sure, I could share my experience, I could provide some of my education or some of my expertise, but you know what's best for your life. The noise has crowded it out, and the shoulds and the have tos and the expectations sometimes are fueling our actions. So when I ask you questions that actually peel back some of those things, why are you doing it this way? And that's not meant as a judgment, but what would it look like if you did it differently? How would you actually want you to curate your life or your day? Those two things combined provide the opportunity for women to really get empowered, to really step into that space where they're, again, full of joy or passion or strength. It's always been in there, but we just got to remember how to access it.
I'm very curious to know, being one of those entrepreneurs who's always doing the
Yeah.
dog paddle to stay afloat. I'm very curious to know, when you have this conversation and you ask those questions and give people like me permission to pause and kind of be in that space. How do people typically respond? I mean, I'm kind of like going, "Oh my God, okay, I probably need a month to digest that, but who's got a month?" Or, "Oh, I have permission to," I don't know. I'm curious to know what the
Mhm.
typical reaction is.
It's usually a mic drop moment, Donna, because we're not used to being asked those questions.
Mm.
And so there's usually dead silence for a hot second. And then quickly, we as women want to give the right answer. We want the
Uh,
approval. We want to be like, yep, I'm on the right track. I said the right thing. And so that silence is then quickly followed by me saying, take as long as you need. There is no right answer here. And then you can see this relief wash over where it's like, huh, okay, let me just actually think about this for a minute. And then you see the spark. And she's like, I used to paint and I stopped painting because I didn't have time for it, or I thought I had to now like adult or grown up. And it's something I really love and I've missed. And that's a small example, but I do see this like mic drop, then fear of let me say the right thing, relief when they're given permission they don't have to. And then I see the light come on and the
mm.
spark rises up. It's a really cool process to watch.
Well, it gave me goosebumps just hearing you describe it because I can feel that. I can certainly feel it. And I'm curious about this too because coaching, it's not a new industry. It's been around for a while, but I'm curious to know about what's your perspective of where the industry is going, and especially with women and us being able to help people and know we're here to help them. Just tell me about the profession, how people discern who might be a great coach, what kind of coach they need.
Yeah, and it isn't new, as you said, but I do think there still is a level of education required
Mhm,
because there is such a variety of coaches out there and such a variety of ways you can call yourself a coach. You
mhm.
could be certified, you could hang out a shingle after taking an hour long class online. And so I think that education is very important when you're seeking out a coach. I think you want to understand what kind of program they've gone through, what kind of education they have. And then I know I do with all of my potential clients, I host a free session because we've got to be able to get on. You've got to be able to trust me. And gosh forbid, we've got to be able to have some fun together. Even though we're talking about some of like the serious or harder things in life, it's got to be a space that you want to go to. You trust the person. You feel like the person is actually helping you move forward. My coaching sessions are not a venting session. They're a session where we're going to honor how you feel and what's going on in your life, and we're going to take the next step forward. I like to think of it as um, if you're driving a car, if you were to look in the rear view mirror, that's really small for a reason. And it's
Mhm.
not to say that it doesn't matter, like the past matters and what happened matters. But what I like to look out is the dashboard and that huge glass that we have in front of us. And that's where we're going. So coaching is about where do you want to go and how are we going to get there?
Forward focused. We all have to deal
For
with
sure.
our past and
Yeah.
unpackage that, whatever it is. But without that forward focus, we're just going to stay stuck.
Yes, 100%.
Hmm. Well, tell me what makes you, the way that you do the work that you do different from others. Is there a value or belief that drives your approach that sets you
Hmm.
apart?
Yep. I think there's a couple versions of, like I said, coaching. And I
Mhm.
think that the personality of the coach is really what blazes the path or the trail for that coach and for that relationship. And so mine is very values driven, really anchoring into who are you? What are the things that make you tick? What are the things that you value? And so taking that angle leads me to a space where it's very relationship based. I say emotional, but I don't mean like the roller coaster of emotions. I mean, you're in touch with how you think, what you feel, and how that makes you act out into the world. Again, not like a tantrum, but that triad is very powerful. And so I lean hard into that. And I think that's how I would describe my coaching is just really getting back to who you are in this current chapter of life.
Got it. And I have to share with you that I'm a values-based financial advisor as well. And that it's unfortunate to say, but I'm in the minority. But I
Yes.
think, just to relate to what you're saying, it's, we all know we're going to be invested in the market. We need to be. We need to take on
Hmm.
some measured risk. And then one day we're going to go, oh my God, the market's going to heck in a handbasket and I'm scared to
Hmm.
death.
Yep.
The way I help people is by bringing them back to their values and what's important to them, what's
Yes.
important to them about what their money's doing for them, right? So that
Yes.
values conversation is significant in so many different ways. So thank you for shedding light on that. Well,
And it is, I mean, with coaching, we have these finite resources of time and energy, right? And so where are we spending our time? Where are we spending our energy? And a lot of times, I mean, I'm a prime example. My competing priorities of being a professional coach and helping women out in the world and being a very present mother and raising my two daughters, sometimes they conflict. And
mm,
so it is about how I think about things, my mindset, how I feel about things that then lend me into the actions that I take. I can't always be both places at the same time. Sometimes one is going to rise to the top for that hour or that day or that week. And knowing that I'm choosing that feels very different than I'm the victim or I'm subject
Right.
to the circumstance.
And now you're avoiding all of the guilt that comes along with
Right.
having made that decision. So that's really powerful. Let me ask you one last question here. Um, if you could sit down and have lunch with any woman, living or
Uh,
deceased, share with me who that would be and why. And is there anything specific you would want to ask of her?
So two come immediately. One is my mother.
Yeah.
She's still living, but I can never get enough time with her, and she is so full of wisdom that I would just so value the time to watch her expressions, to hear her voice, to have her tell me stories of her growing up, to ask her advice about how to raise strong women. I mean, anything and everything, right? The second person would be Taylor Swift. I think she is an absolute mastermind and genius, as well as being extremely entertaining. And I think that understanding how her mind works could be a very fascinating conversation.
I'm going to say I want to be at that table too. I definitely do. And I also want to acknowledge I'm grateful that you still have your mom and can have those
Mm,
conversations and stuff. That is a gift. So
it
that's
absolutely
awesome.
is.
Right, absolutely. Well, I would love for you to share for our listeners who feel inspired and want to reach out to you, learn more about working with you or just the work that you do. Where can people find you?
Sure. My company's name is Love, Strength, and Grace. And so my website is those words all spelled out: love, strength, and the word and is also spelled out, grace.com. And you can also find me on social media. I'm not super active there, but you can find me on my website, and you can also email me directly at shannon@lovestrengthandgrace.com.
Awesome. And I have to comment too, I love your website.
Thank
I've
you,
been to
Donna.
your website and it's beautiful. So y'all go
Thank
check
you.
it out. So thank you so much for being such a great guest and sharing your story with us today, your wisdom and your heart. So I know that women are going to appreciate and take value from it. And literally, let's all just kind of slow down and take a minute and reflect. I mean, that's my biggest takeaway is we got to slow down and figure out what it is that's important to us, who we are, and what we want. So thank you, Shannon. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Donna. Thanks so much for having me. It was a
You're
pleasure.
very welcome. Awesome. Thank you for tuning in to the Money Matters Empower Her podcast. I hope today's conversation left you feeling inspired, informed, and ready to take the next step in your financial journey. Remember, building wealth isn't just about money, it's about creating a life that aligns with your goals and values. If you found this episode valuable, please subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with the women in your life who deserve financial empowerment too. Until next time, stay confident, stay empowered, and keep building the life you want.